It's profoundly healing to know one's cards to play and to really dive into one's life path of cards. It's so illuminating. We have all the time people like, oh my God, this is why this has happened to me my whole life. And,
Mhm.
or this didn't work for me, but this did, or this worked for somebody else, but it never worked for me. Because
Yeah.
you have different cards to play than other people. It's about playing your cards that what I believe you chose as a soul to learn these specific patterns in your life. And so it can be a real game changer to play your cards well and to know the cards, to have the awareness of the energy patterns that are in play. That's why we're here.
It's a permission slip to love yourself. It's a
Yeah.
permission slip to love yourself is what it is.
Do you ever feel like no matter what you do, it's not good enough? Like perfect is the only standard, but you're still left feeling behind? Perfectionism keeps us stuck. It robs us of peace, of our joy, and the freedom to just be. That's why I created Beauty of Imperfection, Good is Enough, a guided workbook to help you let go of the pressure, quiet your inner critic, and start celebrating progress over perfection. Inside, you'll find tools that remind you your worth has never depended on being perfect. It's time to embrace the beauty of imperfection, because good really is enough. Let me remind you, you are always worthy. You already are. Get your copy of my workbook today. Emotionally unavailable.
All right, I'm really excited about this. Like the second that I read your profile, I was like, "Oh, this is so cool," because I love stuff like this. And I did play around on the website last night, just so you know. And my two cards were Ace of Diamonds and Queen of Diamonds.
Okay.
But I was like, "Oh, that feels about right." Based off the description. But okay, so you guys are calling these cards source cards, is that correct?
hmm
Yes.
They
Okay, let's
represent the
start
source
with
code of,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, they represent the source code of our reality, literally the programming language with which our reality is written.
Wow. Okay, let's get into it. What the hell does that mean?
So they're not just a regular deck of playing cards, let's say that. So we are talking about the 52 regular deck of playing cards, and they were hidden in a game, and they're really an ancient system of knowledge that reflects life on Earth. They
Okay, let me
refer,
ask you a
refer
question about that. I'm so sorry.
yeah.
That's
I
okay.
just I want to make sense, you know?
hmm
Okay, so is what you're saying these cards have been around forever, but we didn't realize that they were created for a reason, that they
Correct.
showed up for a reason. Okay. Okay,
Correct.
continue. I love this.
And even that we think of them as a deck of playing cards is already a misconception of
Okay.
what they originally were. Do you want to go right into that? Just dive
Yeah.
deep right away?
Yeah.
Okay. In my own research, I realized that this deck is actually none other than the ancient book of life, the same book of life that the Bible refers to. And so, do you want to go through the numbers? Yeah.
So there are 52 weeks in the year,
Mm-hmm.
52 cards in the deck, four
Mm.
suits, four seasons, 13 cards in a suit, 13 weeks in a season. When you add up the solar values of the cards, so ace equals 1, 2 equals 2, etc., up to the jack equals 11, queen equals 12, king equals 13. When you add up all 52 of those, you get 364. The Joker is outside the matrix of the 52. He's the fifth element in a four-part system. Four parts meaning hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. So his solar value is 5/4, which equals 1 1/4. When you put that back into the deck, you get 365 1/4. So it's an
Um,
exact model of the Earth rotating around the sun.
And in the
oh.
ancient mind, this little instrument, let's call it, that accurately reflects the seasons and cycles of life on Earth, it would have been known as a book. In ancient times, books didn't have bindings. Like books of the Bible were written on scrolls and parchments. They
Right.
were still known as books. To the ancient mind, this would have been known as a book. a little book that represents our life on earth. That's what it does. It's a little book of our life on earth. So what I realize is that it's actually none other than the book of life that the Bible references. And we've all thought that was just a figurative or allegorical reference. But what
Mm-hmm.
if it was a literal reference and those biblical writers were aware of this book and knew about it and referenced it in their writing, in their books? That's what I realized. And I write about this in my book, Play Your Cards Right, A Sacred Guide to Life on Earth. I
I
trace the
love your
history.
cover.
Thank you. I trace the history and the origin story of this book, and you can trace it. I won't, no spoilers, I won't give it all away, but you can trace it back through ancient Egypt and back to Sumerian mythology. In the Sumerian civilization, Mesopotamia, the first known human civilization, the oldest known civilization that we know exists, they, in their mythology, talk about tablets of destiny. And the
Mm,
way they talk about them is very similar to what these cards, this book is and what it does. And in those times, 10,000 BC, papyrus wasn't invented yet. So it would have been tablets, stone tablets, clay tablets that would have had this information on it.
right.
But what's interesting further is that they don't claim credit for inventing these tablets of destiny. They say that they were given to them by their gods.
Ooh, gives me the chills.
I
And
know, that
I
makes
think
sense to me.
I don't have any proof for it yet, but I think they're referring to extraterrestrials. I think these cards, this book of life, was gifted to us by an advanced race of beings who wanted to help us flourish on the earth, who wanted to give us guidance, who wanted to give us a simple tool that we could use to understand who we are, why we're here, what makes us tick, how to live in harmony together. But then over the millennia, it was hidden, lost, and then in the Middle Ages, it was persecuted. The Roman Catholic Church called it the Devil's Bible. Notice they're still calling it a book. They call it the Devil's Picture Book or the Devil's Bible.
Yeah, well, the Roman
And
Catholic
it was
Church
persecuted.
executed everyone, so what are you gonna do about them?
Yeah. And I was trained as a Roman Catholic priest. I have a master's degree in Roman Catholic theology. So it tickles me that I've come full circle and now I'm practicing witchcraft according to the
Right,
church.
right. Okay, well, I wanna put some things in context for my own brain, so I'm gonna ask you a couple of questions about your personal belief system so that I can see kinda where we're I'm gonna use the word aligned, but I just woke up from a nap 20 minutes ago, so we're gonna work with my brain fog. Um, okay. I Well, I haven't decided how I feel about extraterrestrials. I'm not closed off to the idea, but I would be lying to sit here and be like, "Oh, for sure, that makes 100% sense to me." But
Mm.
because when you were talking about it, because I've had this very huge pendulum swing in my life regarding religion, spirituality, whatever, where I was raised I'm in Oklahoma, so you can imagine what I was raised around. And any kind of Christianity here is fundamentalism. Fight me, people, I don't care. That's the truth. So, very fire and brimstone, very narrow focus of anything, wasn't allowed to like be into astrology, nothing. Then I kind of was like, well, this doesn't make sense to me anymore. So I left all religion for a little while. Then through astrology and feeling like the blueprint that was presented to me made sense, I started to believe more in reincarnation and a soul's purpose and blah, blah, blah. Soul contracts, the fact that we choose our experience, all of that stuff. That took a little bit for me. I'm not going to lie. I was like, okay, crazy. So I've learned to stay open because it takes me a minute to catch up to something. But, my nervous system goes, no, that's dangerous. And so once I got to that place, wow, the entire world kind of shifted for me because, well, I think having a faith in anything really makes life easier to live. It really does. So I was glad that I came home to something because I don't believe in anything was like, well, then I don't really know that I need to be here very much longer. It did not help my depression at all. And so now where I'm at is that in this like really deep spiritual place where I do believe that the things happen for us, not to us, whatever, but I believe very strongly in this concept of a higher self. And so as you were talking about the cards, I'm not saying extraterrestrials didn't, but what moved my heart was like, oh, or maybe even some higher self, like that it was like all the gifts that we've been given to navigate this terrain. Again, I am not disagreeing with you, so just know that. But because it's just going to take my heart a minute to catch up to the idea of that. But what really resonates is there's something that has provided. If you look deep enough, even astrology, it's such a good tool for me, like to see like that, like this week's been absolute bullshit for me, but it really helps me to hear everybody who's into astrology be like, this fuck Scorpio, like all the things that have been happening this week. So um do you where are y'all on the God spectrum? Like what do y'all believe?
You are absolutely adorable. Like, just I love your personality. I love how blunt you are. It's just really amazing. So thank you
Thanks.
for your openness and just how you communicate and articulate. So I went on a journey around God, which actually brought me to the source cards because I just went on a spiritual journey trying to find myself and understand what God even is. I went to
Mhm.
Catholic school. I was always a really nervous kid and I was getting nauseous in church and I'd have to be like they'd have to take me out of church and I was like something's not right. They're telling me that people are going to hell and it just
Yeah.
like did not feel right in some way for me. And so I went on this search of spirituality and um, I actually experienced an energy healing that was profoundly life-changing. I didn't get my period for 6 years. I had a
Oh,
healing
wow.
and I got my period, like, I can't remember the exact it's like 1 to 3 days later or something like that, like, but right after,
That's wild, but I'm not
and that
surprised.
that what?
I said that's wild, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. So that just catapulted me into like, wow, like, because, energy and healing and where is this coming from and like a higher power and all these things. And I started to really search for what that meant. And I'm now an energy healer. And I feel that, you know, I feel that I'm a soul in a human body. I'm an
Mhm.
infinite soul in a human body. That's what I came up with after all the searching.
Yeah.
And I love the word God in the sense of like, people say universe, source. I really like the word God. Like it just feels good for me. And I will tune into God, which to me is all that is. It is the universe. It is source energy. It's a pure energy that has no duality. That's what I believe. God is a non-dualistic energy that is just pure. And then I will tune into that in meditation, in healings, channel that energy that knows way more than I do as a human being, knows way more
Yeah.
than my human brain.
Yeah.
It knows way more. It's like the
Just that
higher
higher
self energy. Like it
consciousness.
knows way more than me, than this brain. It's a higher brain. It's a higher mind.
Yeah. Do you
Um,
think that you're comfortable with the word God because it's reclaiming a part of yourself that was afraid? Because for me,
sure,
if
that
I'm
sounds
honest, I never say it because it's triggering to me.
okay.
But not
That
not
that
because
felt
you
really
don't need to say it. You won't trigger me. Well, you will a little bit, but I
okay.
work through it. It's fine. But I just wondered, like, because I do believe sometimes we choose to reclaim the way a word moves with us, you know?
I've never thought about it that way, but it felt really good when you said it. So yes, I would say
Okay.
yes to that.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, don't stop referring to it as God for you. I'm working through my religious trauma, so no worries. It's all good.
Right. Right.
That's awesome. No,
Okay.
I love that. And then to your point too about like feeling like the Bible referenced it, when I finally someone mentioned Christ consciousness to me, I don't know, early on in the spiritual process, and I was like, psh, 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 like I was so closed. And then the day that I was like, "Oh, I think this is what they mean," is I was I was looking at the world around us and being hurt by the things I was seeing, and I was like, "Okay, I believe Jesus was a person that walked on this earth. I just don't believe that he was what my church said he was. I think he was a good dude.
Mhm.
I think he was a
Mhm.
spiritual dude. I think he got into some peyote, who knows? But I think he was saying what we're saying, which is we are all one. We are all part of this one thing. And what he said got bastardized by people who wanted to control others, particularly women. But when I was like, "Oh, forgive them for they know not what they do. This is what he meant." Like, there was several things that now I don't mind referring to his teachings because I'm like, "Oh, he was saying the same stuff I'm saying." Like, okay, I
Mhm.
get it. And now I feel like there's so many parts that were just lied about in the Bible that like I will never like refer to the Bible as some sort of like teacher for me again, but I can definitely the things I was taught, I can see how it fits too into this new belief system that I have.
Mhm.
The the best thing that I came to with regards to who Jesus is, and before I say that, I will say that I had a surprising spiritual awakening when I was 17 years old. I grew up Roman Catholic as well. And then when I was 18, I went on an evangelical, like, revival retreat where I accepted Jesus into my heart in that classic kind of sense and had a profound experience. And I was slain in the spirit and speaking in tongues and all of that full on evangelical Pentecostal
Yeah,
style.
yeah.
And I was very devoted and hardcore, you could say, for several years. And then the cracks in the dogma started to be really visible to me. And it was kind of depressing, actually, to let
Yes.
go of that. And I lost a lot of friends who
Mhm.
told me they were praying for my soul, that the devil was tempting me. And, people who I
Yeah.
thought were friends anyway. And that was part of my journey on my own spiritual quest, my long journey to find the real meaning of the playing cards hidden in plain sight. But what I realized over the many, many years of reflection on Jesus is that Jesus was not a Christian and Jesus is not a Christian.
Mhm.
And that's all we really need to say about that.
Yeah.
They're not the same thing. Christianity is the religion. Jesus is the enlightened being who walked
Yes.
on the earth
Yes.
and taught us what he taught us. Now, here's something interesting that I'll just throw in, a little nugget. In Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, you heard of that book?
No.
You might want to check it out.
Okay.
He talks about in India in the 20th century, there are two enlightened masters who were known to have physically risen from the dead and sit down with their disciples afterwards and break bread and have a meal, almost identically to the biblical story of Jesus rising from the dead and then meeting his disciples after he'd physically risen from the dead. And I believe Paramahansa Yogananda. If you read the book, I think you'll find that he's a reliable narrator. He's reliable, he's believable.
Yeah.
And what I find really interesting about the fact that there are, just that we know of, there could have been more, but two enlightened masters just in the 20th century alone in India who were known to physically rise from the dead and meet with their disciples. What that tells me is that it's, first of all, it's not unique to Jesus.
Mhm.
And it tells us that there's something much greater about our human potential of what's possible for us, that we've put that up on a pedestal as some kind of voodoo magic trick that this one guy managed to do, and we all need to bow down to him because of it.
Mhm.
Whereas I believe Jesus would say, you all have that possibility. You can all do
You
the
are
same
all
things that
that.
I did.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And I was scared when I kind of came to that realization, and also, I just felt like a little connection point here too, so I'll tell you this. When I first started this podcast, I was relatively new in my spiritual journey and whatever, but I didn't talk about it. I would talk a little bit about astrology. But I was not very out there with my belief system, not because, I mean, burn me at the stake, I don't give a shit, but what I was afraid of was the people that I loved and who loved me being afraid of me and their salvation if they communicate
Mhm.
with me. You know, because I remember I would have cut me off as a friend back in my evangelical days. So, like, I was just like, ooh, I have such life altering information to provide don't let this part of what I'm saying, but now it's also intertwined that there's really, you can't get one without the other with me. But at first I was so scared, like, again, not of persecution, but just of them leaving me because they were afraid of me. But, you know, the thing about
Right.
becoming more enlightened is they leave you anyway. So it really doesn't matter. Like, they didn't listen to a damn episode anyway, but they left because they needed to leave. So it is what it was. But no, I feel
Yeah.
you on that. So, okay, is there a non-spoilerly way to talk to me about the Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds situation?
Well, we can go as deep as you're willing to go, and
Oh,
it's not gonna
baby,
be
I'll
any
go
kind of
deep.
spoiler
You just
alert.
said the word.
Well, let's start by saying for your audience's sake that we all have a life path of 13 plus cards. What we do on the website, which you reference, is we give a free reading of your birth card and your personality card. These are the
Mhm.
first two cards in your life path. And you could say they're the most important. They're the ones that show like who you are, why you're here. And then you have a whole supporting cast of characters, kind of like Jesus and the 12 disciples. You have 12 other
Right.
cards that are your aspects of your life, different parts of who you are, parts of your journey, life lessons, keys to financial abundance. That's a good one to know. The
Yeah.
Pluto card shows the shadow side. So it
Mhm.
does overlap with astrology as well.
Good,
That you
love
have a
that.
Mercury card, you have a Venus card, etc. So
Oh,
you have
good.
planetary cards. Yeah, you have a whole life path of cards. Now, having given that context, I am curious, when you looked up your Ace of Diamonds, Queen of Diamonds, what parts of what you read resonated the most with you?
Um, well, the Ace of Diamonds really resonated because it it made me feel my Aries rising. Being an initiator, in some ways I feel so old but so young at the same time. Like, the last 6 months or so I have felt like possibly I don't have like a ton of these experiences left. I don't know. But also I'm an initiator, that resonated with me. Yeah, I don't know. It just made me feel my Aries rising spirit. And then
Mm.
the Queen of Diamonds, it must not have left as much of an impression because there was something that I liked about it. I was like, "Oh yeah, that fits for sure." But I don't remember what it said because I stayed on the Ace of Diamonds for a while.
Mm. With the Ace of Diamonds, do you feel like you like your own space? You like to be by yourself and have your own space?
Yes, but it's hard for me to say that out loud because I used to be such a codependent ass person that I couldn't really be by myself. So it's
Mm.
weird now to like
Mm.
want to be by myself so much, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because your soul challenge card is the Two of Diamonds, and the two is about partnership, but as a challenge, it would mean codependency.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna use the word "was" just because I wasn't
Mhm.
aware of it. Obviously, those themes still come up and in my intimate relationships, but, like, I've been married twice. The first one, I got married when I was 20, that lasted well, the marriage itself wasn't 10 years, but the whole relationship was about 10 years, had 2 boys, and now I've been with my current husband for 16 years, married for like 13. And we have a
Mm.
daughter together. But this is like I talk all the time on here about like this still being the struggle in my life. But I've recognized also my fear of trust in myself. And so like,
Mm.
but my relationships seem to be the thing that transform me. That's where I
Mm.
learn and see all my shadows.
That's great. I mean, that's really using the energy of the soul challenge of this card of this energy pattern of the Two of Diamonds well to overcome those challenges. You
Oh,
know,
good.
to look
Okay.
at them, to really see them in the light. And so, because it's really important if you just, I love the pip patterns. Like a pip pattern is this diamond in the center of all this space. That's the pip pattern. You know, we took the numbers off so you could really see the patterning. It is just, look at that. Like that is
Yeah.
one solo pip in the center of all this space. It's initiating, it's coming out of nothing And
Yeah.
it's so important for you to have your space. So important
Okay, good. That
to
makes
have
me
that
feel less
space.
guilty.
Well,
Mm.
that's interesting. So I want to say a couple things. One, that I like when I see this happening, and you're talking about how you figured out your challenge of codependency, and maybe astrology helped you with that. But I like when I see that people have done the work to
Mm.
figure out what their
Mm.
challenge is before they even learn their cards, because it is in your cards that your biggest challenge is how you relate to another person. And you can get entangled, you could get bossy, you could get controlling, but you can also be
Controlling too.
codependent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's
The
your
control
relationship
piece is so bad.
dynamics that
Mhm.
are your biggest challenge. So you figured that out, and the cards just clarify it and pinpoint it more precisely so you
Yeah,
can
I like
see it.
that.
And what Vicky's talking about with that Ace of Diamonds energy, it is for you to be the one who brings forth something and to do it yourself. And for that,
Yeah.
you do need space. You need the space to create, to initiate. You don't want to clutter your time or your energy.
Mm.
Yeah, and, honestly, that is a constant struggle of believing that just because I haven't seen, like, we'll say, financial abundance in this reality yet doesn't mean I need to do more. That there may be some beliefs I still need to work on and whatever, but I don't need to cram my schedule full. And I have really honored that in myself for at least a year, but there are times when there's some shamey shit that will pop up because I'm like, "Well, you could go do such and such to make money," or you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but I just have to, like, I try very hard to stay honorable in that and not fill my schedule up too much, but it can be tricky because when you're broke, it's like, well, yeah, maybe I'm delusional.
It's good that you're aware of that, about the belief systems. I mean, really, that's how you create your reality is by what you believe,
I've been
like,
working
if you
really hard on it. My
yeah. I can
manifesting's getting much better too, by the way. Like I could tell you so many things. So I'm like, okay, we're fixing the beliefs. It doesn't matter. So it's nice. I feel like this conversation came along at the perfect time because you confirm, like, every time someone says something like this to me, I'm like, thank you, because I needed that.
Hmm. Well, the Ace of Diamonds, one of the biggest weaknesses or challenges to play your birth card well is that insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
needing that validation, not really believing in yourself. There's a profound insecurity in doing it yourself and being
Mm-hmm.
responsible to do it yourself, where no one else can do it for you. And
Right.
then wondering, do I have the right stuff to do it? Do I have what it takes? Do I have the
Am I
talent?
enough?
Am
That's
I
that's
enough?
my that's the narrative that I have labeled is like, I'm not enough, but
Mm.
that's what I
That's a
work on.
very common Ace of Diamonds challenge
Yeah.
because of by virtue of the fact that you're here to bring something forth, to initiate it. Am I enough to do it? Do I know enough?
Yeah.
Do I have enough?
That makes
And you
sense.
do. You do, or else you wouldn't have you wouldn't have chosen to play the Ace of Diamonds.
Right.
Going back to your earlier question about what we believe,
Yeah.
I've come to believe that as souls, we choose the cards that we're here to play.
Mhm.
And maybe it wasn't extraterrestrials that gave the cards, maybe it was angels. Maybe it was an
Aw.
angelic visitation because I also believe in angels. And I
Yeah.
Mhm.
believe that death is an illusion, that we simply transition into another form of being. So, anyway, I believe we choose our life path. We choose the game that we've come here to play. By virtue of the fact that you've chosen to play the Ace of Diamonds, you do have the right stuff. You do have what it takes, or you wouldn't have chosen it.
Makes me wonder what I was before. I've been I've done a little bit of life review stuff, but not like a ton, and I'm like, "Man, I must have been really cool if I thought." Cause listen, dudes, it's been a kind of a crazy life, Like, childhood was pretty shitty. So, like, to be where I am
Mm.
now is pretty wonderful, but I'm
Mm.
like, "Damn, Melissa, you didn't give yourself anything easy."
Mm.
Well, the ace energy is about finding your own mastery. That's what it's
Well,
about.
that's
Acing
what
it.
I've been working
Acing it.
really hard
Acing the
on.
test.
You're here to ace the big test, to
Mhm.
develop your own mastery.
Yeah. Well, I hear a lot, like, internally, like, even, I've quit outsourcing my power too, like, with other tarot readers, other whatever, like, because I know I'm supposed to get stronger at listening to what I know is my truth, you know? And
Mhm.
so you're just saying all the stuff that I just, all the time and thinking to myself, so I actually super appreciate it.
Absolutely. And then your personality card of the Queen of Spades, she's a leader. Queen of
Mm.
Diamonds, sorry. I'm holding it up too. The queens are leaders, the feminine energy. The diamonds represent what you value most in your life. So even, bringing this on your show, information, wanting to spread the word, like whatever it is you really value, being the leader in that. So initiating and being a leader. It's important
Yeah.
that you really nurture yourself and take care of yourself because it's a very nurturing energy, but at the
Uh-huh.
same time, she can be a taskmaster. So before when you were like, should I, about doing more, trying not to do more, woo, she could be like, gotta do more, like step it up because those are the queens,
Yes.
so
That makes so much sense to me. Can I
Yeah.
show you something? So I have this
Sure.
tattoo here that says divine feminine energy, and then I have a diamond right there.
oh,
Look
yes,
at
yes,
that.
yes, yes, yes.
Look at that. You know how
That's
many
That
times
crazy.
is
that's happened?
fantastic.
I'll tell you, I've seen that many times. I'll have a reading with someone and I'll tell, they're born to play, let's say it's the 8 of hearts, and they'll be like, "Oh, I have this tattoo of an 8 right here on my wrist." Or someone else, their card is the 3 of clubs, and they'll be like, "Oh, 3 has always been my favorite number." Like, it just
Yes, I
happens
love it.
often.
And you're a double diamond. You're playing. So we always refer to it like double diamond because your birth and your personality card are both diamonds, right?
Okay,
Some
so
people
it's
might
not
have
just it doesn't just go down I'm not just one
no,
suit.
no,
No,
Oh,
no. So
okay.
you have
But
a
my
life
challenge
path.
card was a 2 of diamonds, right?
it's
I
another
know
diamond.
you've got a lot of diamonds.
Oh, so that's
But
not even normal. Or whatever.
well,
It's
every
not
path is different. Yeah,
right.
It's just yeah.
Okay,
it's
okay.
different.
So yeah, I guess what I'm saying is again com confirmation that because I would because of those 3 cards, I was like, "Oh, so I'm just diamonds."
Not all of it, but your
No.
2
Okay.
primary cards and your challenge card are, and it's just
Wow.
fascinating to me that you are already aware of the divine feminine in diamonds, because that's the highest expression of the Queen of Diamonds. She is the divine feminine in diamonds. So I'm curious, what inspired you to get that tattoo?
I'm not gonna explain the diamond because there's a naughty meaning behind it that a friend and I we were joking about something, and so we did some Friday the 13th cheap ass tattoos for the diamond. Divine feminine energy, one of the first things that kinda happened after my spiritual awakening was understanding, like, divine feminine energy through the tarot card, the Empress. And so, that card in particular was kind of a lifeline for me for a little bit, and then as I evolved spiritually, understanding that I really had lived 43 years at that point in my masculine and just trying so hard to protect myself and control the world in order to protect myself, and had no idea how to love myself, so was not in receivership at all. That was very life altering for me. And so, yeah, I always, you just get significant tattoos, I guess.
Wow. Amazing.
It's really, really beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And it is true, playing the cards that you are. The ace is a masculine energy. It is about initiating, but playing it through the personality of the Queen of Diamonds, there's a receptivity there and a
Mhm.
surrendering to the process. So the ace is activating and initiating, but then you're also relaxing into the process and surrendering, not trying to be like overworking it, trying too hard or
Right.
being too demanding or too nitpicky. That's the Queen of Diamonds on her low side. She's fussy and perfectionistic. Nothing's ever good enough for her. And
Yeah.
then you'll burn yourself out like that and you'll hurt yourself.
Yeah, I've kind of the way I have really like come to hold my masculine is aligned action and making sure that
Mm,
I'm not like, to me that part of my masculine just doesn't doubt the feminine, that it does, you get it, you get the intuitive thought, you act on the intuitive thought, and not
mm,
just so much um fear or judgment. So I
mm,
feel like that my masculine and my feminine have really worked hard to be able to hold one another, you know?
Mm. I love that, holding one another. It's nice.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So anything else super like crazy on my life path?
Well, something interesting is that we have, again, life path of 13 plus cards, and we have a Saturn and a Pluto, which I like to look at because those show the life lessons. Saturn is the life lessons, and the Pluto is the unconscious hidden fears, the shadow energy. And we're playing those cards for you.
What do
So
you
we're
mean?
playing, in other words, Alexander is playing the Nine of Hearts, and that's your Saturn card, life lessons and challenges. And I'm playing your Pluto card, which is your unconscious hidden fears, which is the Queen of Spades. So that's kind of interesting that, like, here we are showing up and you're attracted to us and you're like, oh, wow, I want to do this with you guys. That
Yeah.
tells me a lot that, like, you are, wanting to, if you're like attracted to an energy that actually could be challenging for you, but you're like, bring it on. That says a lot about you. You're working on yourself and you're growing and evolving, and that's amazing. So the Nine of Hearts being a Saturn is life lessons and challenges around emotional intelligence, going super high and super low in your emotions,
Mhm.
like climbing the ladder, like needing to forgive and climb up the ladder of your emotions, letting go, having experiences that, traumatic experiences or experiences that maybe you can't let go of. It's really important to let them go and transcend and forgive yourself.
Yeah.
And on the high side, it could be like just really yummy emotions and just a lot of love, a lot of unconditional love and compassion for other people and for yourself.
I feel like that's where I'm getting, truly.
Mhm.
It took a medium came on here one time, and I was still holding on to a lot of anger with my grandma, who was my primary caregiver and super narcissistic. And then because I have felt like my parents died young. My dad died of an overdose when I was 15, and my mom died when I was 22 of
Oh my goodness.
alcoholism related complications.
Mm.
And but since I started to be spiritual, I really felt like really like my mom's around, you know? And
Mm.
so I had a medium on, and I had been told, because I went to see a medium for a few visits once I wasn't afraid I would go to hell for that. And
Mhm.
I believed that my mom was like on my spirit team, you know? And so when
Mm.
this medium came on, she was like, the way she said it just made so much sense to me. She said something about like, basically my mom just didn't, I'm going to use elementary language here, but like just didn't pass her test here. Like, like it was just she didn't reach the level of spirituality and understanding and enlightenment early enough to be able to truly like transcend the things that she went through. She had experiences that were god awful, and hearing that about her made me go, because I know that there's a long like line of women that I'm healing also, you know? It just made me like so sad for my grandma in that moment too, because I was like, you know
Mm.
what? She didn't either. She just didn't get what she needed to get in order to get through the things that she experienced. Either that, or that just was her role here for me, was to be that fucking awful person, you know?
Oh,
But
no.
either way, I was able to get peace around that and forgive it. Like it was immediate too. So it was really crazy.
Wow.
I had been working hard on that for years, but had finally gotten to a place where I was like, we're not going to resist this. I hate her right now, so I'm going to hate. She died too, like 10 years ago. But I was like, I hate her right now. I'm going to hate her right now. That's just where I'm at. And I'm going to quit trying to resist these feelings. And in this one conversation, I was like, no, I think I can let this go now, because the beliefs around it changed and it was just not that hard for me. But that
Right.
shifted so much energy in me, like letting go of just that alone. Because there's still plenty of people I'm working on forgiving. Don't let me play.
Right.
But that took up so much more space in my heart than I even realized. And I have been,
Wow.
I'm able to see like the humanity in all of us. But that's, even just in this human part of who we are, the work that I did on myself allows me to see like I'm not any different than anyone else and they're not any different than me. So if I can forgive myself, why can't I forgive them? If I can have compassion for myself, why can't I have compassion for them? So I feel like patting myself on the back a little bit
Yes.
because it seems like I'm on the right track here, is what I'm saying.
Yes. It's
Yay.
I mean, those are great examples, exactly what I'm talking about. So you're innately doing it, you know.
Yay. Well, that's
Yeah.
exciting. I feel good about that. So that was the 9 of hearts.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And I love the pip patterns because you can just see everything. Let me just whip it out. There's the ladder, So
Oh,
it just shows you like the symbols show you how to play the cards well. It's everything is in
yeah.
there. It's so much healing in this patterning. Then you can go up and down this ladder
Yeah.
of hearts.
I love that. So then when you say you're playing these cards, is this your life
Right here.
card, your challenge card?
His
What
birth
card is
card.
that for
The
you?
9 of hearts is my birth card.
Oh, your birth
And
card.
yeah,
Yep.
and what Vicky is pointing out is that people play roles in our life, and we can see what those roles are by where their cards show up in our own life path. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what Vicky's alluding to, that
That makes
the
sense.
9 of hearts is the Saturn card of your life path, that it's my birth card. And so that would mean that wherever we would meet, I would play the role of a teacher for you, because the
Yeah.
Saturn is the teacher to teach lessons, life lessons. Vicky's personality card is the Queen of Spades. Her birth card is the 5 of Diamonds, but her personality card is the Queen of Spades. And the Queen of Spades is your Pluto card in your life path. And the Pluto card is our unconscious hidden fears, the things that we're learning to face and integrate. And that's a lifelong process. And the Queen of Spades is the Queen of Consciousness, another divine feminine energy. The spade is an acorn, and the acorn is a symbol of the pineal gland, the third eye. So the
Yeah.
Queen of Spades is the Queen of Consciousness, but that's what you're afraid of. So you would be afraid of the woo-woo. You would be afraid of anything you can't rationally explain. But yet,
Mm-hmm.
it's your life's journey to face all of that and integrate it, and to recognize your own psychic abilities, your own conscious abilities, because it's all hidden in your own shadow until you face it and integrate it.
Yeah, that's crazy because I did a chakra reading not too long ago and this came up there. Were you afraid of God? And I was like, well, no. And then I was like, oh, well, yeah. Yeah. And then all the
Yeah.
fears that I had like about this type of content and whatever, because God would strike me down and whatevs. Um, is the fear, in your opinion, my fear of this consciousness, is it part of that not enough? Like that maybe, like, because I feel such a mighty purpose. Like outside, like I believe that we're all here to get the most out of this experience and to have the most joy and abundance, that like, I believe that that's why we're all here. But I also believe I think we all have this, but I just think that I have a very specific way that I'm supposed to move about in order to help other people reach a lot of these understandings, right? Is my fear that I'm not enough, do you think? You think that whole not enough narrative is the thing I'm actually afraid of? Like, afraid to be the master of my own universe because I'm afraid I'm not enough?
Yes, and you can be afraid of your birth card too. You're talking about your birth card when you're saying not enough because that's an ace energy. We can be afraid of our birth card as well, and you have unconscious hidden fears, which are symbolized by the Queen of Spades, which is to say, you can be afraid of your own consciousness. You can be afraid of God. You can be afraid of extraterrestrials, be afraid of
Okay.
spirits. You can be afraid of angels. You can be afraid of anything that transcends our mental reasoning ability to logically explain it. All of that you can be afraid of. Now,
Okay.
in addition, you can also have fear around your primary life purpose of the Ace of Diamonds, which is to initiate something, to do something big. That can be a fear too. We can be afraid of it all. And then we can
Sure.
even be afraid of our own fears. I was a big one for me when I realized that I'm actually more afraid of my own fears than I am of the fear itself. It's like that saying
Mhm.
that the only thing you have to fear is fear itself.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
realized I was more afraid of being terrified than I was of whatever it was that was gonna terrify me. I just didn't want the
That makes
experience of
perfect
being
sense to me,
terrified.
actually. I wouldn't say that in relation to fear, but I would say I was so afraid of feeling that I did a lot of things to hurt myself worse than the feeling would have. You know what
Mm,
I mean?
mhm,
So it's like
yeah.
we can get really trapped in those little thought loops so easily. Okay, so you do mean very literally, I'm afraid of all of my consciousness. Okay, so yeah,
I
I
have
mean
a
that makes sense.
I have something that connects the two that comes to me when you ask the question, and that is the Queen of Spades is like tuned in to all that is. So, like, tuned in to what Alexander is saying angels, God, other dimensions, aliens, you name it, right?
Yeah.
Like, you tune in, you meditate, you got the Queen of Spades in your life path as a Pluto card, you can connect, you know? And you can see things and you can see other dimensions, which could be
You have
really freaking
lucid dreams.
scary.
You could have really vivid dreams
Yeah.
also.
I do,
So
and they're
so
awful.
connecting it with the Ace of Diamonds when you were like, is it the fear of not being enough?
Mhm.
What came to me is like, am I enough that I can be a one to be able to connect to all of these things?
Yeah.
That
That
I have the
resonates.
power. I have the power in myself to be able to connect to aliens, like, "Oh my god, that's scary." Like, that's where I
Yes.
see the that's where I see the connection.
Ooh, and you know what's crazy? Man, I'm sorry, I'm a Gemini, I can't not give you a long-winded thing about this. So I have this kid who's 18 who had a little spout, maybe he still does, but he's learned not to talk to me about it. A little spout with psychedelics. Actually, I don't think he's doing them anymore because he did them too much and he had a little scary time. He was hitting the shrooms pretty hard, I think. And, he has this whole thing around like, "Yes, I'm spiritual, but not the way you are, mom, because I've seen stuff you haven't seen." And so I said to him,
Mhm.
"Maybe that's true, but you were on mushrooms. And so what if you could just guard yourself from some of those things? What if you can just take your truths out of those things?" And because he's talking about astral projecting and whatever. And I made a
What's his
decision
birthday?
right then. I don't want any of that shit. I believe
What's his
him.
birthday?
I don't want it.
What's his birthday?
March 7th.
As I suspected. He's 3 of spades, 7 of spades. Uh, he has abilities. It's not just the mushrooms. He has those abilities, and he's very different cards to play than you. You're much more practical and pragmatic. Diamonds,
Yeah.
practical, pragmatic. His 2 primary cards are in the suit of spades, which is consciousness. The very
Mhm.
thing that you're afraid of the most, which is consciousness, is his native language, his native frequency. So he is going to have experiences of other dimensions, astral projection, and so on and so on. That's part of his journey. And then he can teach that or share that or express that for others. So, as parents, and we have 2 kids, it's very important that we support our kids to play their cards right, that we don't put our own way on them, and let them play their game according to what their cards
And
are
now
for
he's
them.
not interested in exploring any of it because he's
He might have
afraid,
scared
and I
himself,
don't know
like
how
you
to help
said.
him. Do what?
Okay. Mhm. Yeah, he might need a break. He might have scared himself because he could really and truly see into other dimensions, and maybe he did see aliens or
I
he saw
believe that.
beings.
Yeah, he saw dark
He might have
stuff,
seen
and he's
things.
never been very specific, but he saw very dark things, and I was like, "You know
Mhm.
what? I'm fine if I never see any of that. I don't want to."
Well, he may need someone to talk to about it to be able to process that.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
just hard to find people like that, you know?
Here we are.
And he trusts me, but he
We're right
knows I
here.
don't know. He knows I don't understand.
Okay. Well, you could send him our way.
Well, we'll have to look at how much you would charge for that.
He could just look on our website and, you could get the book.
Oh, I'm for
Books,
sure getting the book. I'm for
you
sure
know,
getting the book.
I've
He gets
found
annoyed at
and
me about astrology, so maybe this one will help him better.
I've heard that before. People have said that to me where astrology doesn't click for them, and that was true for me too. I didn't really vibe with astrology.
Yeah.
But it may help him just to know his cards to play. So then, the same way when we said to you, Ace of Diamonds, you need to be alone, you benefit from being alone, and you're like, now I feel a little bit less guilty.
Mhm.
It's really validating when he reads about his cards, and you can read it on the website too. It may
Yeah.
really help him to validate his own experience.
Yeah, that makes me really happy because I don't want
Mhm.
him to be closed off to spirituality, first of all, but I know he's 18, he's just
Mm.
at a weird transitional period in his life. I want him to find some grounding,
Mm. We
just
also
something.
have, like, if the book even interests him and as he reads it on the website, we have what's called a life audit, and, it's really reasonably priced, and we people can ask their questions, and then we do a reading on a video, and it's like 20-25 minutes, and you get, like, all kinds of we just answer the questions and give it a mini healing, and yeah,
How
it's
cool.
an
Okay.
option. So,
I'm so glad this came up because, I worry about my little baby.
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Because I was like, well, that sounds terrifying. So good luck.
Mm. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I have loved having you guys. Do you have any
Mhm.
anything that you feel like you want to talk about that you didn't get a chance to?
Well, I would say that it's profoundly healing to know one's cards to play and to really dive into one's life path of cards. It's so illuminating. We have all the time people just having like, "Oh my god, this is why this has happened to me my whole life," and,
Mm-hmm.
or "This didn't work for me, but this did," or "This worked for somebody else, but it never worked for me." Like, because,
Yes.
you have different cards to play than other people. It's about playing your cards that what I believe you chose as a soul to learn these specific patterns in your life. And so it's just, it can be just a real game changer to play your cards well and to know the cards, to have the awareness of the energy patterns that are in play. And, it's just, yeah, we love it. That's why we're here. That's
It's
Yeah,
why we're
I'm
a
here.
really
it's a
excited.
permission slip to love yourself. It's a
Yeah.
permission slip to love yourself is what it is, and, like, in the example of your son, it would be, and I imagine it will when he does look up his cards, it'll give him a permission slip to accept his own experiences,
Mm-hmm. I love
you
that
know?
because I
So
think
he
when you
doesn't have to
feel
be
so
afraid
different
of
your
his own
whole
experience.
life.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I love
And
this.
then looking up other people's cards to play, it helps accept other people too. Like, why you have that dynamic with that person, like what I looked everybody up when I first learned this system. I was looking up past lovers,
Exactly.
you name it. And
Yes.
I was like, No wonder, like we had that dynamic, or it's just, the amount of people that I have in my life that are playing the same card as me, the birth card of the 5 of diamonds is wild. Like all my girlfriends, will, like look them up
Really?
and it'd be like another 5 of diamonds, another 5 of diamonds. And
You're like, I
we
guess
would
I'm
have
not
different.
surprised.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because like I'm looking for the same energy, right? Like
Mhm.
a five is out of the box, right? So it's different and it's change and adventure. And so I'm looking for other people who have this five energy,
Yeah.
It's
I love
funny. And
it.
or like, meeting like when I first learned my mother's cards, I was like, "Oh my god, it just all makes so much sense." She's playing like you're playing a diamond and a diamond. My mother is playing a club and a club. She's playing the queen of clubs, and the 5 of clubs is her personality.
Oh.
And club is the mind. So she loves stimulating conversation. Everything is mental for her,
Yeah.
That's very different from the diamond energy or from a heart
Mhm.
energy, So it just like I just like had these aha moments learning it
Yes,
all
and
and
I'm excited that you just have to have the birth date because I don't know
Yeah.
my parents' astrology because I
Yeah.
don't have access to their birth certificates, and it drives me fucking wild. I want to know
yeah.
how they fit in this pattern.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
super stoked to get that part figured
Oh,
out too and be like,
good.
oh, that's how. Because I know I picked them, dumb as they
Yeah.
may have been. And I'm just, yeah, I'm really excited to see how my children fit into everything, because like you saying
Yeah.
that about him makes perfect sense to me,
Mm.
because he's the reason I've had to face so many fears, because
Uh,
parenting him has been really
Mm.
fun and exciting. And so
Mm.
I'm like so excited to see how
Mm.
each person fits into my life. Sorry.
yep. It is a lot of fun.
I'm excited about it. So, okay, where can we find? I have your website, but go ahead and say it out loud.
Thesourcecards.com.
Okay, and I'll make sure
And
I
that's
include
where
that
you
in the
can,
show notes too. Is there
yeah,
any
that's where you
other
can,
like sites or social media that you guys are active on?
All social media is at the source cards, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. It's at the source cards as our handle.
Okay, cool. Man,
Yeah.
thank you guys so much for being on. I've had so much fun. I
oh,
was literally looking forward to this so much. So it was
oh,
everything I hoped it would be. I'm really
oh,
excited. I'm gonna get this book
wonderful.
for sure.
It
So
was
I
a
just
lot of fun
appreciate you
talking to
guys.
you.
Thank you. It's been
Oh,
such
that's
a
so
pleasure.
fun.
You are a pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna press stop
Mm.
if you guys will hang out for 1 sec.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks for coming to Emotionally Unavailable. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, and share.